Hey guys, this is Toby Mathis with the Anderson Business Advisors podcast. Have a good guest today. So Pace, welcome. And Pace Morby, I should say your last name too, but Pace is how I know you. And Pace, what do you do online? Like, you have a huge following.
Man, I started in construction a long time ago, and the way I got all my business was through Instagram, believe it or not. So when Instagram first blew up 8-9 years ago, it first came out, I was sitting poolside with my wife, and I go, "What's this Instagram thing?" She's like, "Oh, it's going to be another Facebook."
Instagram.
So I started posting from like 2 weeks from when Instagram started, and I built up a really good following in my construction business. Mm-hmm. And through that, doing before and after photos of backsplashes and all the things that we were doing as a contractor, I ended up landing 3 really big clients. So I landed Open Door, which is a nationwide fix and flipper. They're essentially a retail / wholesaler. Mm-hmm. Zillow, and then another company called OfferPad.
Oh.
And I got all of those guys from my Instagram, and I was like, oh my gosh, the power of social media is insane. And so we went around the country this is back in 2013, 14, 15. I was going around the country setting up these guys' operations in individual states as they were scaling their business and going around. Every time I'd open a new market, they'd cut me a $50,000 check and go, "Okay, thank you. Now it's on autopilot. You can go set up the next one." Had a lot of fun doing that. And then,
can I say, were you still doing construction at this point, or were you just doing putting their operations in?
No, we were still doing construction. We had 265 employees back in 2015.
So
most people that know my story know what happened is in 2000 and roughly 2013, 14, 15, in that time frame, I was doing a lot of fix and flips as a contractor for other fix and flippers, right? I was the one operating and running their construction. And I ended up coming into contact with a company named Homevestors. We Buy Ugly Houses. You've seen their billboards. You probably even have some of them as clients.
Bunch of them.
And I ended up buying a franchise is how I got into real estate, because I was fixing and flipping these guys' houses. I'm like, "You made how much money?" And I made $7,000. You made $170,000. Oh my gosh.
So were you actually a Homevestor franchise then?
Yeah, I was. I was the head of the marketing committee for 2 years at Homevestors.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I would fly out to Dallas every quarter, and I was in these 3-day extravaganza, meetings all about how much money they're spending in billboards and blah, 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 blah. And I was one of the top 3 guys that they would go to and say, "You're tied in with the Wholesale network and all your buddies, and everybody in the industry. What is everybody else doing?" And that's why they brought me on the marketing committee. And I was one of 1,100 franchisees, but I was the top 3% of closers in the nation. Mm-hmm. And I looked at it, I was like, man, this is kind of crazy. If I'm in top 3% of the closers in the nation, I was probably only making at the time $400,000, $500,000 a year. I'm thinking, how are all the other guys in the bottom 3% doing, right? Or the bottom 30%, the bottom 70%. And that's when I started jumping into creative finance, because I said, you know what? I need to take the same lead flow that's coming into my business, and I need to double, triple, and quadruple my conversion rate. So I started doing a lot more sub-2 seller finance, and a lot of lease option acquisitions at the time. I went away from acquiring lease options. I don't have the deed in a lease option, so I just want to go straight for the sub-2 or the seller finance. And I started having disagreements with Homevestors on the way that I was doing my business, because they can't make royalties on my portfolio. Mm-hmm. And so we separated back in 2018. I sold my franchise, and I've been out on my own, started a company called sub2.com, and been doing content since 8-9 years ago. But my content's a little bit more visceral. It's a little bit more like in the flesh, where I remember the first time I did it for real estate, I go, you know what? I talk a lot about my construction projects, but what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go on my Instagram and I'm going to go, "Who wants to jump in my car with me? Let's go on appointments today." You're going to go to every appointment with me. You're going to meet my private lenders. You're going to meet my business attorney. You're going to meet 3 sellers, because I have 3 appointments today. And you're just going to see the day in the life of Pace. And so I started doing this back in 2016, 17, where I just would get 7-8 people in a big truck with me, and they would just go with me for free. I wouldn't charge anybody anything. I did this for like 2 years. And I just built out a name for myself here locally as the guy that just wanted to help everybody. And then
where are you located?
We're in Phoenix. I do a lot of investing. Most of my portfolio is here in Phoenix. have a couple properties in Vegas. I think you're in Vegas, right?
Yep, I'm in Vegas.
Vegas is awesome. So I have a couple properties, Airbnbs in Vegas, Dallas, and Atlanta, but most of our marketing endeavors are all here in Phoenix.
Yeah, keep it in your backyard.
Right. And so, I'm crazy on the content. I have a lot of fun doing it. I'm one of these guys. I tell people, I have a shirt that I actually made called HUD Up or Shut Up. Either you showed me the HUDs or shut up, right? Because there's so many people out there talking about this business they're just not doing it.
You got to give me a timeout on that because we do the tax returns on so many of these folks. And I always laugh. It's like, they really make most of their money doing something else.
Right.
Let's talk about the TV folks. All these folks, whether I don't want to say names, but like people that you see on TV that are doing flip shows and stuff. There's a number of them. They don't make any money on the flips. Those numbers are weird. You're looking at it going, yeah, the closing costs are 8%. You didn't make any money. And then when you look at their tax returns, it's the same thing. But they're out there trying to make a name for themselves saying, look how much money I made. So you actually show your HUD statements and say, this is exactly what we did. Yeah, not too many people do that, if anybody.
Yeah, we in fact, if you don't mind, I'll show you one. We just closed on one this last week. And so I do 3 podcasts myself. Mm-hmm. One on Sunday nights. It's called Sunday Service. It's not religious. It's all creative finance. So the only thing I talk about for 2 hours straight is creative finance. Oh, wow. And then I have another one on Monday night. So that's in a couple of hours. It's called Wholesale Hotline. That's with a couple of my buddies. And we get 1,000 live people showing up every week. It's great. And then I have another one called Get Creative, where it's a very short frame, 20, 30 minutes. And all it is talking with people that I've done deals with, right? So I go, hey, let's talk about how you and I got creative on this deal and let's show our HUD. So like on this deal, this is a deal we just closed on the other day. So I'll go through and I'll show people my notes. I'll show people, this is my private lender in second position, loan me $70,000. Here's my note, right? I'll show people my title docs. I'll show them my final settlement statement. The cool one on this one is actually the record. Let's see, where is my note with the seller? So my seller, a lot of people think, oh man, this is crazy. There's no way seller finance really works out that great. And I'm like, dude, look how great this is. I bought this property with a 2% seller carry, and I put $10,000 down on a $475,000 home. I put like 2.5% down on the house, right? People just don't understand how powerful this business really can be. And they're running around, and look, I'm nothing against the guys that are doing the BRRRR strategy, but it just takes so much time. You got to refinance multiple times. So this will be another Airbnb that we exit on. And then I showed this one the other day. This is one of my favorite ones. Check this out. Mm-hmm. I've got a property on 78th, and why it's so pertinent to this conversation is because the house we bought, I still haven't even paid all the down payment to the seller, and I've owned it for almost a year.
And have you been fixing it up during that time, or what did you do?
No, I took over a tenant. So check this out. This is what's crazy about this seller. So this seller on this deal, Dale and Susan Poyer, as you can see on the screen, they were just kind of sick of having sellers in the property, or not sellers, but tenants in the property. They're like, they're always 2 or 3 days late. We're always chasing them for money. Dale and Susan are a little bit older, so they don't really set up technology to collect money. They're waiting on checks. Right. And so I just said, hey, I'll take over your tenants. The tenants, Toby, are paying $1,650 a month on this deal. Okay. So what I did is I bought the house, 0% seller finance. Okay. 0%.
Wait, hold on for a second. So you bought the house and you're paying 0% interest at all?
Yeah. So my payment to her is $375 a month for 240 months. And
then you took over the existing,
this one's not sub 2. This is seller finance. So we created a note for $100,000.
Whoa. That's
right. So
awesome.
Right. So what did she want originally? What she wanted originally was this. She goes, Pace, I would sell the house to you because look, at the time retail was $100,000. So I paid retail, and every wholesaler on planet Earth. And look, I do wholesale too. I'm not disrespecting wholesalers by any means, but every wholesaler was giving her 60 to 70K. And I don't even think they could have made a deal out of that. They would have had to close on the deal, kick the tenants out, clean it up. they couldn't have made money at 60, 70K. They probably would have had to pay 50, right? So I told her, look, I'll pay you 100K, but I want terms. You give me terms, I'll give you the 100,000 that you want. So she comes back to me, and the original thing she wanted, Toby, was she goes, I want 20,000 down, and I want 8% carry for a 10-year balloon.
Wow.
I'm like, Susan, I'm giving you full retail. Give me something in return. So what I did with her is I worked out a deal. Check this out. This is probably my favorite part of this. I closed escrow March 31st of 2020. So I'm coming up on a year of owning this property. My down payment, the way I structured this down payment, this is I truly bought this house with no money out of my pocket. What I did is I structured my down payment. Check it out. Down payment due 6 months after I own the property, $5,000. And then 6 months after that, another $5,000.
I got to do some of the math on this thing.
Yeah, let's do it.
You're getting $1,650 a month.
$1,650. I'll break down how I look at my numbers real quick. So if I'm at $1,650 a month and I take out my $375, I have another $150 a month in insurance and taxes. And then I pull out about $200 a month in miscellaneous vacancy repairs, all that kind of stuff. I didn't have to renovate the property because I took over the tenant. So right here, I'm at 600. I'm at 700 and what is that? 725. Is that right? Yeah. That's $725 a month.
Plus. That's the beauty of having a calculator on your phone. Yeah. 725. So 1650 minus 725 gets you to 925.
So I'm at 925, multiply that by 6.
Yep.
So every 6 months,
it's $5,550.
Right. So check it out. I structured a deal where I didn't have to give her a down payment up front. I paid her $5,000 down payment after I cash flowed a net of $5,450.
And these people must have other monies where they're just like,
right. Yeah. The way I look at it is seller finance. So with my seller finance, it's typically tired landlords. They have a ton of money, or they're retired and they're just done with it. Right. And they don't want to pay any taxes by selling it right now. Or I have this lady that we just closed escrow on, and we're in contract on 51 of her homes right now. She's selling her homes to us because she goes, look, and this is why I love talking to you. And I loved, a couple of weeks ago when I met you in Miami, you basically took the whole floor. But there was 5 other speakers that were supposed to speak that day, and they all relented. They all go, yo, I'm forfeiting my time because Toby's a badass, right?
That was really nice of him. I like to talk.
Dude, it was fun for me. I gobbled it up. I immediately hired you guys. I've been working with your team. And then I went and I signed up with Greg Boots as well. So it was valuable for me tremendously. I'm a client forever. You guys, like, the value you gave was amazing. So for me, I look at these seller finance deals, and I didn't quite understand until I spoke to you. I've been doing this for years, and I didn't quite understand the importance of setting up your estate, because June, this lady I'm buying 51 homes from, she does not trust her son to take over her estate.
Yep.
So she goes, look, this lady, this is an interesting thing. So I think she currently has 55 houses left. She's going to keep 4 of them for some reason. I think it's from family members.
What do you want? What computer are you on? What computer are you on, by the way?
Oh, this is my iPad, by the way. You're
just using an iPad? Because that's really awesome.
I'll show you how I do this. I'll send you like a video or something. I'll show you how I do it.
I do it on Surface. I have a Surface, whatever this thing is. It's the big screen, and then I can draw over. I love it when you can draw. And I hate it when people can't.
I know. This is the way to do it for sure. So for me, I use a product. It's called an A10 Mini Pro ISO. It's like $1,500, and it allows me to do like switch between, do all sorts of cool stuff.
Yep.
And anyway, so June, she's selling these 51 homes to us. They're completely paid off, right? She's 91 years old. And because she did improper estate planning, she didn't set up anybody like a charity or anybody else to donate these properties to have somebody else manage them for her. She goes, my idiot son is going to inherit 51 properties, which he'll never be able to manage. Yep. Or I'm going to create 51 seller finance notes where he'll collect about $150,000 a month for 30 years, and then he'll be out of money. But at that point, I've been dead and off this earth for 30 plus years or 25 years.
Yep.
So she's anticipating her death. She's also anticipating her son's inability to manage those properties. So a lot of times you'll get this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you guys have been in real estate a long time. There's always a reason a seller sells to you at a discount or sells to you on seller finance. Mm-hmm. Typically with my sub 2 deals, it's one of two things. It's either A, they have zero equity because I have a Vegas property down near the Strip on Whispering Grove. Seller buys a house, 3 months later gets a job opportunity in a completely different state, is inept when it comes to managing real estate. And goes, I just need somebody to take over the property. And because he bought it with a VA loan, there was no stinking equity.
Right.
So I just take over the property, sub 2, easy, no equity, or they have arrears or they have like major financial pain, right? That's sub 2. With seller finance, it's quite the opposite. Somebody's like, I don't have pain, but I do have motivation to get the top dollar. So as long as I don't mind paying close to retail, but as long as I'm at 2% or lower on my interest rate, we make it work.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because we've done the exact same thing. No, so what's the gal's name again? So
June.
June. All right. June doesn't want the big ass monstrous tax hit, right? You're going to have a big, if she sells all those properties. She also doesn't want to give a huge amount of cash to her kid. The one thing I would caution June on, just the lawyer in me, is make sure that kid can't sell the notes because he'll discount them to 80% and he'll sell.
Oh my gosh, that's 100% right. That's a good thought.
You put it on non-assignability or you lock them in a trust. So what June might want to do is just say, I'm going to.
That's super smart because she is deathly afraid of her son mismanaging the money. Basically all he does all day long, because he's never had to work, his mom has enough money. He just plays video games all day long.
Yeah, he's probably good at it.
Yeah, he's got to be. I mean, that's a really smart thing, is he could just go liquidate all those notes and sell them to somebody else. I might just go buy those notes from him.
Yep. I've been saying, I've been on this trend. I've been in this exact scenario because I used to be work in a guardianship firm, and you'd take over people's estates. And sure enough, if you had a liquidity event where you needed to get money to put somebody into to buy into, like in Seattle, there was a buy into some of the higher end facilities where they could retire. So they weren't in a nursing home, but they were in a really nice place. They always wanted cash up front. And sometimes you were liquidating out the notes, and it was about 80 to 90% on the dollar. And yeah, he could go to the same place and say, hey, I want the cash. And so if he doesn't want him to do that, that's what you do, is you lock it up into a situation where he doesn't manage it. Somebody else manages it, usually a bank. You just say, hey, I'm going to put a trustee over it. So you could use a living trust, literally, and just say the trustee is not him. He's the beneficiary, and then they'll manage it in his best interest. So do
you know any banks that do that kind of stuff?
Every bank does it. They all have a wealth management department, Wells Fargo,
wow. That's so interesting.
Any large bank, or there's actually trust companies, or she could go find her local bank or somebody. Most do it, or there's actually guardianship firms that'll do it. They usually do it for about 1%. So it's not free, but it's not horrifically expensive. And then they handle the tax filings.
When does somebody end up having to just form like a family office type of situation?
A family office is more, I have so much wealth that I need to have somebody who is basically managing the managers. So you have so much that, the individual doesn't want to do it themselves. So like if June, a family office scenario would be, hey, I just don't want to manage those properties, and I have so much other money. How about I hire somebody who just makes sure that I'm getting a decent return, and then they go out and diversify and handle all my assets. But it doesn't sound like she's doing that. She's just saying, hey,
no,
I've got 51. I just did this exact same scenario. I'm in the middle of one where the gal's husband had passed away. She's sitting on 46 houses, and we're buying them. She just wants enough money down to take out the existing note that's on it. And her biggest worry is running out of money. And she doesn't want the tax hit on these properties. There's depreciation recapture. They've held them well over 20 years. And so she just wants an installment sale. And so it's the same scenario. She's carrying the note, that's all it is. And she's going to recognize the tax hit over a period of years. So we're just going off of life expectancy. So 20-year, 30-year note. So on these properties, she's happy because she has cash coming in guaranteed, that's secured. She doesn't have any more debt, and she doesn't have to worry about managing properties, and she doesn't have to worry about outliving her money. There's enough money coming in where it's actually in excess of her life expectancy. So that's sometimes their scenarios. They just want to exit it out. And I don't know where you found yours. Where did you find this deal? Was it just going out
with June?
Yeah.
We find all of our deals through the same exact facet, which is just texting, cold calling. We have 2 driving for dollars guys. And so I have a team. This is also one of the businesses I own. We have so many cold callers at one point 2 years ago that I just said, dude, let's just create our own virtual assistant business. And so now we have over 300 clients there. And I think that's going to be end up being like a big exit for me, probably a $25 million, $30 million exit on that deal.
That's very forward thinking.
So that one's good. People look at the acronym REI as real estate investing. I look at it as replace expenses with income. And so we've bought title companies. We're on the verge of buying another 4 title companies, because that's completely passive for me. Is I go to a company like Title Alliance, who has 900 branches. And I go, I want to start another branch. And because I already have a brand, I just tell people, I use Title Alliance. Next thing you know, they go from 0 files to 50 files, in a month.
I'm stealing that.
Yeah, smart. You should. That's a good one. So I call it replace expenses with income. So title company, transaction coordinating business. We do transaction coordination for all 50 states. I have a team of 5 girls. Cold callers, texters. We now have our own team, but we do it for 300 people, other people. I have a driving for dollars SaaS company, a software company. Like anything that I spend money on, we go, how do we turn that into a business?
Smart. And so you offer that to other people too, because
we offer all of that to other people. Yeah,
because we have a ton of wholesalers that are always saying, "How do I learn? And how do I do this?" And I'm like, sometimes it's elbow grease. We find our deals by calling our property managers.
Yeah, this is a smart one. I would say there's 3 ways that I get deals. So I do direct to seller. And it's so competitive in the wholesale world that I would say if you're not using creative finance, you're probably leaving half the money on the table. But then the second way I find deals is through referrals, like other wholesalers. So I'll go to wholesalers and I JV with them. I go, hey, wholesaler. So June was actually brought to me from a wholesaler. So I just call it reviving dead leads. So I go on my Instagram and I go, hey, wholesalers, if you have any dead leads, let my team work them. We call the sellers and go, hey, looks like you needed a higher number. What did that look like? And we work out terms. We just start sifting through.
So how did the deal with June end up? So you ended up, if you don't mind me asking.
No, I want you to. Anything. I'm open book.
All right. So with June, what's your scenario? Like how much are the properties worth? Average house? Is it 100, 200, 300 range? So this particular house is actually worth $497,000, which is completely an outlier in her portfolio. But it's a really, really good house. So let's see. Let me pull this up, actually. I'll pull this house up. This one I just got this from my Airbnb manager. Mm-hmm.
Sonnet. So here it is. Let's pull it up.
Perfect.
So this came in. This is when I was under contract with him, where he was basically going through and just saying, hey, you know what? Here's the fees. Here's what this is all going to look like. You're going to end up making an average. He was looking at $8,000 a month. We realize it's about $12,000 a month on average because we're on the blue wavelength, which is the higher point.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. This is the deed. Here's the market report. So my guy goes through, gives me the market report. We go through all this kind of stuff and we figure out that our nightly average, let's see, where is that? Our nightly average on this house will be somewhere between 4, right here we're on the green wavelength.
Mm-hmm.
So our bottom is about $300 a month. Our average, it goes all the way up to like $475. Mm-hmm. So we average about $400 a month on this property. So if I go back to my notes, that one property, I'll kind of break this down. My seller carry, I'll kind of show you guys how I structure these deals. And this is the fun part about creative finance.
Uh-huh.
So if I'm $497 is my purchase price, I have to give the seller $10,000. I gave the wholesaler $5,000. I have closing costs of, let's say, $4,000 as well. And then I have $15,000 in furnishings, but I have a $35,000 renovation. So this total dollar amount, actually, my numbers are a little bit off, but that total dollar amount that we raised was $70,000.
Okay.
So I raised this. I have a private lender, second position. I showed that a little bit ago, his second position, deed of trust, and his promissory note. So in second position,
he just said, hey, Pace, I'm going to give you that money. Interest rate, is it a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year?
8%, 5-year,
5-year
with an option to extend.
Nice. It's good to have private lenders in your pocket.
Yeah, it's really good. And you know this. So you walk around Vegas and get all the private lenders you would ever want, especially being in your position and your brand and all that kind of stuff.
Charge a little bit more. You're getting a pretty good deal. Most of the guys I know want 2 points and 10%.
Oh yeah.
These
are all where I get all my money. All my money is like nurses. And you and I could talk about that for hours. I could talk about all private money, but the number one place I actually get my private money is previous sellers.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've already done business with them, right? And they've already gone to my title company. They know my process. And so I call them back up and I go, hey, that $110,000 that we did, would you want to invest that money into something else? Or did you just go buy a minivan with it, right? So a lot of them are those people that don't know that you could charge points. They don't even know they could charge points. And so they become a lender for me, 8 to 10% interest only. So this is interest only. A lot of people think, oh, is that amortized? No, it's not. It's interest only.
You have a 5-year balloon and then you just keep paying the interest. And a lot of times they probably want you to extend, right? They're just like, oh, I like that interest.
Right. Or a lot of them will even forget they even gave us the money. So so let's say I bring in $10,000 average income. I'm going to have months where it's $8,000 and I'll have months where it's $12,000 depending on the time of year. Mm-hmm. If I average $10,000 in income, I take out my note to the seller, $1,900. I take out my $800 in property taxes and insurance tax. I have an Airbnb manager that actually charges me only 10%. I feel like this is the great deal that I get. So 10% management fee. This guy's so great. All he does is he flies into the town. So like Whispering Grove, the property I own in Vegas, I've never seen the house. He flies in, sets up utilities in his name, goes and finds the furniture, goes and does all the stuff, gets it set up. All the Airbnb goes through his account. He gets the 5-star ratings. I just get a check every single month, which is great.
Right, so he's the host.
Right? Yeah, he's the host, not me.
Yep. Good.
I don't deal with any of that stuff. So I've got $10,000 income, $1,900 to seller note, $800 there. Let's say my private lender is about $600 a month. I've got about $1,000 a month in utilities, repairs, maintenance, and then I'll put another deal in here for my, let's say that's private lender. What am I missing?
The 8%, 70,000 miscellaneous.
I'm going to do another 1,000 for like utilities and, other stuff along those lines, cleaning fees, whatever else. So my net on this property, and this is cool because when you start talking about yield, right? I get guys that are like, so what's your yield on your properties? I'm like, well, my yield technically is infinite because I have $0 involved in my deal. Mm-hmm. Now, what I'll do, and I'll kind of break this down for your audience. Some people are like, okay, well, when do you pay? The number one lesson or question I get when people see me talking about this is they say, well, when do you pay the private lender back? People are deathly afraid of private money for some reason, right? They know they need it, but asking somebody for money and then not knowing exactly when you're going to pay them back gets people really scared. So
you still have the first note too, right?
Yeah. That's the first. Here's the first note right here.
Oh, seller note. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, seller note, my private lender here, management fee, insurance, taxes, miscellaneous, and then just for good measure, I'll put good measure here for like utilities, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So my total net cash flow on this deal is $3,700 a month in net. That's after everything. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's even after my good measure account where I basically just put money in there and wait for pillows to rip and things didn't need to be replaced and all that kind of stuff. So you got two choices. You can either live on this cash flow. Well, you got three choices. You can either live on the cash flow, which I'd never do. 2, you can reinvest, which is what we typically do. Mm-hmm. We'll go bundle this money and go buy another deal. Or 3, you can just pay down your lender, right? So we can, number one, make the minimum payment because it's interest only. And then
but they don't really want you to pay them down.
No, that's the thing is, I don't have a single lender that asks me, when am I getting paid back? It's just not something that lenders do.
They wouldn't do a carry if they wanted to be paid back.
No.
Usually they want the money over a long horizon so that they were being, again, their tax gets spread out. They have the basis return, which is zero tax. They have the interest, which is ordinary income. And they have the capital gains, which is, if their income's low enough, is zero. If they're below 80,000 and they're married, or 40,000 and they're single, it's zero. And then you have a little depreciation recapture, which is their ordinary bracket capped at 25%. So a savvy person who's done this for a while is saying, don't pay me. Hey, Pace.
Right.
Don't pay me. Hang out. Like, yeah.
Now, what I've learned recently because of you is what I'll do with, so her properties, they range, we just got 5 more under contract. So basically as she has tenants moving out of the properties is when we're acquiring and closing and then turning those into either Airbnbs or lease option exits.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say the average home is $350 or under, but that was a higher price home. It's on a lake in a golf community, great Airbnb exit. It was kind of a no-brainer.
That's awesome.
But with her, I think she'll pass away before we get to buy all her properties. I think she's kind of on the end of her lifespan. So anyway, the main thing I took away from you, this is the thing I cannot stop talking to my buddies about. And I get people that are like, dude, give me Toby's information. So I gave,
we like that.
Yeah, I gave him to Corey.
Uh-huh.
So essentially the conversation of, okay, once I depreciate the asset, right? So I'm going to go through and I'm going to do my bonus depreciation my first year. And then I'm going to finish out my depreciation over long term. Now I have no depreciation left on this house. I've bled that depreciation dry. Mm-hmm. Most people are like, well, what do you do? Okay, well, I can 1031, but at some point you get a point in your life where you're like, dude, I can't just keep buying properties. I don't have the energy for this. Oh my gosh, it feels like a job sometimes. That's one, yes, 1031 exchange. But the charity, dude, like the charity was such a big key for me. I feel like spending that day listening to you talk about this stuff gave me, no joke, millions and millions of dollars of value, because now I know where to put my properties. I know now how to allocate the type of charity I'm going to have to make sure that I'm doing veteran housing or low income housing, Section 8, whatever, to keep myself in that good standing. And then the freaking part about, I don't know if you were there. You weren't there when Greg Boots was there the next day, mm-hmm. But Greg was going on about, well, yeah, you have your public charity, or is it private charity or public?
Public charity, what you're doing, low income and moderate income housing.
So there you go. So the public charity then mm-hmm. loans money to my whole life insurance policy.
Yeah, you're talking about a split dollar.
Dude, I'm sitting here thinking these guys are like, here's the Jedi Knights. These guys at Anderson Business Advisors are like the Jedis of the Jedi. It's insane.
We didn't invent it, just so you know.
I know, but like you guys articulate it. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't value, is that taking all of this information, I know it's been around for hundreds of years or 50 years or whatever it is, but the ability to articulate it in a way that other people can understand it and condense that learning curve from 10 years to 10 days or 10 hours, dude, it's a gift.
Pace, what you just went through is because you do it. And it's simple to you. And people are probably, their heads just popped. People are like, I thought you had to have money to make money. No, you have to have some opportunities and know how to take advantage of them. You don't have to have the money to make the money. You have to have access to money to make money. But it doesn't have to be yours necessarily. In the tax world, and in this realm, there's incentives that the government gives us to do certain activities. And one of the things is there's a complete lack of low to moderate income housing. It's been dropping. That's because everybody's putting houses in play for people making more than $75,000 a year. And even that can be considered moderate income housing. But that's a charitable activity if you want it. And so all they're doing is saying, hey, if you're willing to do this, here's the incentive we'll give you. And they'll let you write it off at fair market value for an appreciated asset. They limit it to 30% of your adjusted gross income as to how much you can write off, but you can give away a ton. And then the beautiful part is that, like we were talking about with the sun and June's son, is charities don't die and nobody owns them. They're run by people. So, here's June, who's obviously, scratching her head about what to do with her son. And she probably hasn't talked to anybody who's been through this scenario. Because if they did, she was lucky enough to meet you, who gave her a solution. Because if they did, they would say, that son won't know how to manage the money, so don't give it to him. Give him some of the income, but whatever you do, don't give him that pressure. Because money is pressure. Money is it's almost like handing somebody, I do this at live events. Like, I'll give somebody a cup of coffee and I'll say, is that heavy? And they go, no. And I say, put it out there at the end of your arm, right? I say, let's talk in about an hour, right? And tell me if it's heavy anymore. And they're like, holy crap, after 5 minutes, they're doing the little shaky thing, right? And I said, that's money, that's pressure. And if somebody's not ready for it, they don't know where to put it, they're going to be holding it out there. They're going to get the shakes, and somebody's going to walk up and say, hey, you want me to hold that for you? And they're going to hand it to them. And that person's usually...
Great analogy.
It's some sophisticated banker who's just going to rip them off, something fierce. And so if you care about people, you don't give them something they're not prepared for. You could give them the coffee still. You just let them pick up the cup and sip, right? You don't let them sell it. You don't let them get rid of it or do anything else. That's a bottomless coffee cup. Is you don't let them sell it. And that's one of those things. There's only two ways that you could really go about it. And that's trust and in charitable organizations, and that will last for a long, long time. Like trust, we can go pretty much infinitely, and foundations never die.
That was a big takeaway for me. I actually deep dove on the Hershey Foundation and what's his name? Hughes.
Howard Hughes.
Howard Hughes. Insane.
And that's been around. That was 50 years ago, 60 years ago. It's now the largest medical philanthropic organization. It's like $500 million a year that it gives out. And it was set up because the government was scared because he was going nutty. And he got some tax benefits out of it, but society's getting a huge benefit, but it wasn't wasted. So it's always fun. So like what you're doing is very simple and people can understand it. It's like, I want to make sure we talk about your backdrop there, the mural behind you, because you're able to tell a story from experience. And it's no different in tax. It's no different in real estate. It's no different in stock market. It's the people that tell stories from non-experience. And then they have to fill the gaps and where there's lack of experience with made up BS. And that's what a lot of the TV stuff is. That's what a lot of these, a lot of the gurus that run around there, they're telling you to do something and they've never done it themselves. And so they're telling somebody else's story. Speaking of stories, we got to hear about the mural behind you.
Yeah. Atlanta is one of my favorite cities of all time. I love Atlanta. I know you've probably spoken at events there 100 times. It's a great city, great food, amazing people. And, I go out there, I buy a $1.5 million home on seller finance, 2%, 30-year carry, and I fly out there to go see the property. And I'm going to turn into an Airbnb. And I kind of cruise around. I had a couple of days and I see this mural. It's literally 50. It's in Little 5 Points. So if anybody ever wants to Google it, it's Little 5 Points, Atlanta. Type in Outcast. So essentially, I go there. I'm just blown away because I love these two guys. So it's Andre 3000 and Big Boy from the rap duo Outkast. And they're just the greatest storytellers, right? They talk about things they went through, how they built up their marketing, how they did this. Everything they do is they tell a story. It's not just some rapping about drugs or this, that, and the other. It's always telling a story. In fact, they have 2 songs called The Art of Storytelling Part 1 and The Art of Storytelling Part 2. Like that's how important storytelling is for them. Mm-hmm. And for guys like you and guys like me, essentially, what do we do all day long? We figure out, how do I craft a story, or how do I take a third-party story of something I've gone through and adapt it to somebody's life so that they either A, take action, or B, they understand something in 5 minutes that took me 5 years, right? We've had to essentially go through a lot of this stuff. We're like, and that's why you can go on for 9 hours and not run out of content, is because you have story after real life story. And I'm sitting there, I'm not a note taker normally, but I actually took down notes and I'm like, I'm going to go through line by line by line in my hotel room tonight. And I started going through stuff. I watched a YouTube video you guys did 2 years ago. You personally did it 2 years ago. I think I've watched it 4 times. And I'm like, these guys are great storytellers, amazing storytellers.
You must love tax and asset protection.
I do right now. Yeah. Last couple of years we've made good money. And then, the goal for me is every single business. How do I have every business that I'm a part of? I could say, turn off all the other 12 businesses and this one business could operate my income for the rest of my life. Okay, great. Let's go do that 10 times, right? Or let's go that 12 times. And I also just look at buddies of mine. So I had a buddy sitting next to me in this mastermind where you were speaking at for 9 hours. And he turns over to me. He goes, dude, I spent $480,000 last year on taxes. Why didn't somebody tell me this stuff? I go, how have you not known what depreciation is?
Right.
How have you not known that? Now you gave me I felt like I was probably in the top 1% of intelligent people in terms of understanding depreciation and why you should buy properties and all the tax incentives and all that kind of stuff. But I had no idea the stuff that you had gone into. And I absorbed it for the last 6 weeks, just absorbed it. And it's been so fun. And it's all I'm talking about with all my students and other people that I talk to. They're like, Pace, what are the things you're working on? I'm like, okay, you guys have to go. You have to go to this YouTube channel. You got to go research Toby. You got to go see what Clinton, those guys are doing. They're crushing. These guys are freaking geniuses. So I appreciate everything you guys are doing tremendously.
We just know it's really hard to make it. We want people to be able to keep it. And I don't know. I was so broke when I started. I hung my shingle out. So when I got out of law school, I never wanted to work for another firm. And so I always joke about it. But my first experience in the tax world, because you don't learn it in school, even CPAs, maybe EAs to a certain extent will learn some of the tax strategy, but definitely not in school. And I went out and met with an accountant, and he made me feel like an idiot. And it's one of those things where the shame of not knowing and starting out and the fear of when you're starting something from nothing. Like I literally lived in a 400 square foot box with my wife. And she's like, I didn't graduate at the bottom of the class. I was really close to the top, had lots of opportunities in Seattle. And she was like, why aren't you working for a firm? You could be making 6 figures and all that stuff. And I was like, that's not why I went to school. I went to law school because I want independence. I want to be able to do my own thing. And I had to find it out by necessity. And as soon as you start getting into that stuff and it's like, it's your deal and it's impacting you, it becomes very real. And it's actually there's a memory system, reticular activator system that gets triggered when something is relevant to you. And all of a sudden the noise drops away. And so when you were sitting there, I was talking to a mastermind group in Miami, and that's where Pace and I met. And I come out and talk to that group once a year. And they give me an hour and a half every year, which never is an hour and a half. It's always fun.
Thankfully.
Because it's relevant to you guys. For a lot of people, it wouldn't be relevant. And so even your partner, the gentleman, the person who's sitting next to you, and all of a sudden that pain is very real for him. And he's like, holy schmoly, I'm just rooked. And now it's relevant. And now his mind's going to allow him to hear a lot of this stuff. And unfortunately, most people, that's what it takes, is they got to touch the burner on the stove before they're like, whoa, that's good. And I love it when people, they get it. They click.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot more fun, right? So the same thing with me. Like I'll talk to people in my mentorship and I'll talk about a lease option, right? Mm-hmm. And then they'll come into a Zoom. I do probably 4 to 8 Zooms a week, just depending on topics and guests and all that kind of stuff. And I'll get a student that I deep dove on lease options. And then 3 months later, they run into a lease option and they come in and it's like, they ask me all the questions that I've already answered.
Yep.
And I'm like, you weren't. And so the thing is, I had to learn as a mentor and as an educator, they weren't ready for it. So when I see people say stuff on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, like they don't teach this stuff in school because they want to hold us down. I go, dude, you're not ready for it.
Yeah.
You can't even finish your homework. And now you want people to talk about cost segregation? Like, come on, dude.
I got to pull this up for you. I'm going to mess with you just for a second. Let me see if I can find it. I'm going to pull something up and let's see if I can. I'm going to grab this. Have you ever done the finished files?
I don't think so.
Trick? This will be fun. I'm going to mess with you if you let me, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please. Because I know I'm gonna use this on somebody else, I imagine.
You could totally take this.
What's it called? The finished files?
Finished files, right. So I'm going to show you this. I just put it right over the top of you. What I'm going to do is share this out with you real quick. I don't have the wherewithal to switch the screen. I'm just going to have to share out my screen. So I'm going to share out this one screen. I'm going to say, count the F's in the following sentence. So count the F's that you see in the sentence that starts finished files. And tell me how many F's. And anybody that's out there can play along. When you have 100 people doing it, it's absolutely hilarious. But
3?
So you see 3?
Yeah.
See, our brains are so, keep counting. Tell me if you find any more.
1, 2. Oh, 3 of. Yeah, because we, oh my gosh, now I'm at 5, 6. I skip over the of.
Yep. See, your brain can't see the of when you first come into it. So I don't know if you could see I'm putting.
Oh, my gosh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's so dang good.
And so your body won't let you see it. Your brain will literally not let you see it. It's called, what is it called? Illusion. There's a frequency illusion. And it's actually our bodies will not allow us to see certain things unless it's relevant to you. And so I could have let you sat there and suffer. There's people that even when I tell them, like there's 6, they still can't see the F's. Your brain completely blocks it out. They can't see it. So it could be right in front of your face and you just never saw it before.
What's funny, Toby, is because I know what you're doing, right? I know there's something I'm missing. So I'm slowing down and I'm scanning word by word, and my brain, even though I slowed down and scanned word by word, I still skipped over the ofs.
Most people. So I do this when you have 1,000 people, you do it when you have 100. It's usually about half the people see 3. About 10 to 20% will either they already know it. Like I was one of the people that saw 3 the first time I did it like 20 years ago. There's a whole bunch of them. I love the way the human mind works. And it's because in order for you to actually see it, it has to be relevant. And it's the frequency illusion. That's what it's called.
Frequency illusion.
Or Baader-Meinhof syndrome. There's all these cool names for it. Baader-Meinhof was this German group that, anyway, we won't get into all of it, but the easiest one to understand is when you're driving around looking for a new car and you say like, hey, I'm thinking about buying a Jeep. And then you're driving home and you see 10 Jeeps on the way home. Yeah. That's just because your brain's now, Jeeps are relevant. Show them the Jeeps.
It's so weird. It's an algorithm that your brain even starts feeding you. It's like an Instagram algorithm. It's like, holy crap, this guy likes guns. Feed him guns. Feed him guns.
That's it. 100%. You just nailed it. And so 100%.
Yeah, I call it, I didn't know it was called that, but I call it the Tacoma Effect because when I first got my first little Toyota Tacoma, I don't drive one now, but I thought I was the coolest badass on the planet. Like nobody else has a Tacoma. I'm a badass.
And then you saw them.
And I'm a dumbass because I didn't realize how many people had Tacomas until I actually was driving in one.
Now you can see them.
Super interesting. It's a lot of people. So same thing with people trying to learn real estate, right? So, or taxes or anything else. They 100%. Jump in and they go through a 3-month coaching course and they're like, why don't I know everything? I'm like, because you aren't ready to have everything. Like, even if I gave you all the tools and all the information, none of it was pertinent. None of it was important at the time. It's like giving you a hammer when you haven't even poured a foundation.
You know who it's relevant for? Anybody who's doing it. The people that want to do it, it's not necessarily relevant for yet. And so they'll pick up on parts, but they'll see half of it. So like they'll, using the F's, they'll count half of the F's. They'll see 3 of them, but they won't see the full picture until they're actually doing it. And so the only,
gosh, damn it, Toby, that's so good. I'm going to use this like 100 times.
I stole yours. You can steal mine, but you tell people the only way you learn to do something is by doing it. It's because you can't learn it out of a book. And unfortunately, in the tax world and in the real estate world, people learn out of books. And so the tax world, most accountants weren't forced to go run a company and learn all the accounting. They learned it out of a book, trying to learn somebody else's, and it wasn't relevant to them. So they only see half the picture. Until you have your own deal, then you see the other half. And that's why what we live, eat, and breathe is obvious to anybody that's in this world that does it, but it's such a small percentage of people that do it. It's not relevant to 95% of the folks out there. You're a top-notch real estate investor and you're doing deals. All of a sudden, this stuff becomes relevant. And you're like, why didn't anybody tell me about it? It's because they couldn't see it. They could see about half the picture.
And even if they did tell me, I probably would have come in one ear and out the other. I would have been like, this is boring.
Wouldn't have been relevant to you at that time. Yep.
So crazy.
Have fun. Anyway,
I'm gonna do this right now. So I have a podcast we run at 5:00 on Mondays called Wholesale Hotline. We get anywhere between 800 to 1,000 people watch it live. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna throw this on the screen and be like, Toby Mathis from Anderson Law Group just made me look like a dumbass.
I don't even remember who I stole it from. It was somebody in a stock market thing, and they were just like, "You're not gonna know until you actually do it." Because people are always like, "I can't enter the market until I know exactly what I'm doing," and it's like, you kind of have to get your ass kicked a little bit.
Yeah, it is that's step 2. So check this out, Toby. Guess what I'm doing? I'm doing this really, really cool thing. So I get so many people, I'd say top 3 questions. I know we've gone way longer than you normally go, but I think you'll get a kick out of this. Top 3 questions I get as a real estate investor are, number 1, how do I start? Okay, that's number 1. Number 2 is, if you were going to start all over from scratch right now, with only $500 in your pocket, what would you do? Right? So they want somebody to come in and give them a blueprint step by step by step. And so what I'm doing is I'm doing this challenge. It's called The Challenge. And I'm going to be doing for 30 days. Check this out. I'm letting my audience choose the city and the state and the city that I start. I'm going to go sit on a park bench. I'm going to fly in with no resources. I'm going to have one change of clothes, not a penny in my pocket. And I'm going to sleep on a park bench night 1, and I have 30 days to do a real estate deal. Right. So I have no money. I have no food. I have no water. I have nothing. I have a cell phone, but it doesn't have any of my contacts in it.
That's going to be fun. That's
right.
Going to be brutal.
And so I'm going to hire a videographer. So he's going to film me, and I'm going to show people, look, one thing I'm taking in right now is I go, all right, guys, give me all the excuses that you've ever heard of why people can't succeed in this business, because I want to impose those excuses on myself. So one guy goes, yeah, but you're not going to have a 9 to 5. I have a 9 to 5. I go, I'll go get a 9 to 5. In fact, I'll go to another rehabber in that area, and I'll go swing a hammer for him from 6 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'll still work limited hours in real estate investing, and I'll still go out and get a deal with no resources other than what I know.
That's awesome.
So we're going to document it. I'm going to probably end up writing a book about it and just giving people, I mean, it does, but that's the thing too, is this. You've tried to get people to understand things or maybe take action on certain things, and they just don't do it because either A, they don't want to, or B, they're lazy. I don't know what it is.
They're scared. It's usually fear and keeps you petrified, and you got to decide whether you're going to do it or not. And oftentimes it's a fear of nonconformity. Everybody's telling you how you can't do it. And it's easier to accept it. It's like crabs. Have you ever seen a crab pot? You don't have to put a lid on it, because once the crabs are in there, any crab trying to get out, their buddies will grab their leg and yank them right back down into the pot.
That's one of my favorite stories. I was in a mastermind 5 years ago, and I got up in the middle of it because they were just had this whole negative vibe about whatever. And I got up in the middle of it. I started walking out, and one guy goes, "Where are you going?" I go, "I got to leave this this bucket of crabs."
That is awesome.
I have to get out of this bucket of crabs. And nobody knew what it meant but me, because the blue crab, anybody that's listening to this podcast right now, go look it up. The blue crab doesn't need, like Toby said, doesn't need you to put a lid on it. They'll just keep pulling each other down. They'll never let each other out of the bucket.
And it's 100% true. I used to live in Seattle, right in Ballard, and all the deadliest catch ships that's where they'd come down in the off season and get their work done as fishermen's terminals. So we'd always be looking at them, and you have these big tables where they have these king crabs where they're 2-3 feet. They should be able to get away pretty easy on anything. And the tables have, about a 6-inch lip on them. It's like, no, once they're up there, they're up there. They ain't getting off. Nobody's going to let them. The freedom we're going to keep you here with us.
It's like the story about the elephant, right? The elephant, if you train an elephant, you put a wood peg in the ground with an elephant, you tie a rope to the wood peg and the elephant's neck, and you do that for about 30 days, you can cut the rope and the elephant will still never leave that wood peg.
That is freakish.
That's crazy.
But that's about it. That's the world. Once you realize that, then you can say, anybody puts a rope around my neck, I'm going to push against it, pull against it. And if they cut that rope, I'm running. And the same thing, if you're surrounded by crabs, get away, run, scramble. Even if you have like one leg, get off the table. Hey, I do got to roll.
Of course.
Pace, I'm going to put up all your information so people can follow you.
Cool.
So I'll make sure Patty gets all that and we'll put it up there. He's one of my favorite people that I've ever gotten to do a podcast with.
Same thing, Matt. Same thing here. If you feel compelled, I'd love to have you in my mentorship and introduce my people to you if you ever have the time.
I'd love to. Anybody that's willing to teach and let people.
That's all we do, man. I've got 1,500. I've had my program out 9 months. We have 1,500 students, highly active people. They would die to see you.
Yeah, we'll do it then. I really appreciate you, man.
Thank you, brother. Have a good day.
You too.